All right, welcome everyone to a brand new episode of a brand new series for this YouTube channel. I'm Nanners,
I'm Zero.
and today we are going to be doing something very special. We're gonna starting off a new kind of playthrough. It's not gonna be a traditional type of playthrough though. What we're going to be doing is playing through Fallout 4, at least partially, however far we get. All along the way, we're going to be critiquing the game. So this is how it's going to work. It's going to be a mishmash of a playthrough, and but it's mostly going to be like a rant critique. Basically, this came out of the fact that I used to love this game, and now I kind of hate it. I actually hate it a lot. I definitely hate it.
Indeed. I still remember when we made that video last year talking about the top 100 list of best games of all time.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was...
I complained a lot about Fallout. And so yeah, first off, some ground rules before we get this started. These are all opinions. You're welcome to debate them in the comments. Hell, it's encouraged.
That's right. If you guys hate us for it, go ahead and let us know.
Each episode will be dedicated to a problem or a set of problems. So they'll all be thematic. And what I'm thinking is I already have about 5 or 6 episodes drafted up. We'll get through those 6 episodes or so. And then eventually we may come back if we come up with some more things. Possibly, who knows. Finally, one last thing is that all the things that we're going to cover in these episodes are what make this a bad Fallout game. Because that's what I inherently feel is wrong with Fallout 4. The game itself is otherwise, it's a bit bland, but it holds up as a video game. It's just not a very good Fallout game. And we are going to be going in depth about all the things that make this a bad game for this franchise.
That's right.
So, without further ado, we're going to start off the episode. So, Hans has never played Fallout 4, so he's going to be new to some of the things that we're seeing here. However, he's a little bit familiar with Fallout, more
That's
or less. Right. Yeah, we're about to do we're starting from scratch. One of the issues with this game really is the story. That is what this episode is going to be focused on. It's going to be a story and issues related to the story. Right off the bat, we have issues with speech options. You are always limited to 4 or less speech options.
That's terrible.
That's not good, because in the previous Fallout games, you were limited. You had no limit. It was limitless.
Mm-hmm.
You had whatever dialogue options they gave you for that situation, and that's what you had. Now they've kind of replaced it with like something similar to a conversation wheel, like what you would see in Mass Effect, but it's even worse. You have more options in Mass Effect than this. You have only 4 here, and they've lined it up with the controllers. So they do. You have your square option, your circle option, triangle.
I see.
It just makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's not appealing to look at. It doesn't make sense whatsoever.
No, I could also see how it makes the game very limited and would actually make the story quite uninteresting. In the other Fallout games, you had way more options.
Yeah,
You had way more options, and I understand, like, by giving you less options, it can make it more streamlined, but that's the thing. It's not supposed to be that way.
It's an RPG.
Exactly.
You need more. The more options you have in an RPG, the better. You do lose a lot of freedom with this, and not just for the fact that you only have so many choices, but interestingly enough, it even limits you in like what you can reply with, based on a very rudimentary understanding of video game conversation.
Really?
Yeah. Let's get into it. In the majority of your speech choices, you're basically presented with an option that the NPC will like, an option that the NPC will not like.
Oh boy.
A duplicate of either one of those that's a little bit vaguer, but still it's going to be, once again, they like it or they don't like it. And the sarcastic button. And it's like...
Oh god.
Yeah. That's all your choices. That's all you have to do. And it limits like what you can do in a certain situation in the game. It just sucks.
So basically 2 right, 2 wrong, and then 1 wild card.
Well, okay, 1 right, 1 wrong, a duplicate of the others.
Yeah, so 2 right, 2 wrong.
And then wild card, yeah, absolutely. The next problem is that, unlike previous Fallout games, you don't actually know verbatim what you're going to be saying. So, One
Okay.
until you select it and it's been said, you
don't-
don't know what that actually means. You just have a 1-word or 2-word option to say, to tell you, like, to describe it. And the funny part is that it's actually really bad. Like, the descriptions are incredibly vague.
Also, what's with this lady's face?
I don't.
She looks like a freaking mannequin.
And I said, hey. I said, hey. I'm not that interested in, like, customization of characters. I'm not the type of player that's going to sit there and just pick, oh, the scar has to be on the right side of the face. The scar has to be on the left. That's all well and good. And they've definitely given you more options in the previous games. But that's really just because they're more capable. It's just a good thing because technology has advanced.
But with that being said, let's make this guy's face completely fucked up. Let's just do that. Let's just make it super fucked up.
Yes. Okay. Confirmed characters. So, that's basically it. This is another thing that Fallout games have a huge problem with, or like a lot of contention. People don't like the intros that Bethesda makes. Fallout New Vegas, which was not made by Bethesda, actually had a lot of. It was quick. It was it was sped up. You deal with this is. It's not that this is really slow, but there's still just like, oh my god, I don't care. In about 10 seconds, we're gonna have to play with a baby, and it's just like, dude,
What's the point?
Just to finish up before about the point on the speech options, a lot of the time what they said, was incredibly vague. So I would find myself, I would pick a thing, and then I'd be like, what the fuck? He didn't say anything related to what I just said. It was completely different. Like in extreme cases, it actually contradicted what the choice implied. So,
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's not cool, man. That really that's pretty broken, to be honest. If it wasn't bad enough that they limit you in how many dialect choices you have, they just decided, let's keep it vague. You know what I mean? Also, side note, they got rid of the awesome percentage meter next to your dialogue for speech checks, which sucks because that's a classic Fallout perk. You don't know your percentage of success for your perk. So if you had the perk where, like, oh, you're good at lying to people and getting away with it, you know that perk is currently used for this option.
Yep.
You just don't have an idea of how good it is, like what the percentage is. They just replaced it with a standard color. So,
Great. Oh, here we go with them options.
Yeah, so these are exactly the options I was talking about, and it's just, it's bad. It's really bad. Also, this pisses me off because they lock you in. You can't. I want to just say no, but eventually, if you just keep saying no, your wife puts her foot down. It's like, no, you have to give this strange man your information.
Really?
Yeah, because they need you to do this a certain way. It's like you're just locked in.
Ugh.
Although I do kind of like this character. He's kind of quirky and goofy and stuff. This thankfully has not been touched. You still have a lot of. You still have all the same skill points, the special points, thankfully. But I mean, I don't know. We're gonna go with. We're gonna.
10 luck?
No, we're gonna. I want to be a little more rounded, so we're gonna put a little in agility, and I feel like charisma is also, or intelligence is the best way to go. So we'll take down from endurance. Or no, then we'll die a lot. We'll take down from. God damn it. Whatever. This is fine. Who gives a shit? We just need to come up with a name.
For the character?
Oh, I know what to do.
Toddy?
Oops. I actually meant to put more in there. No. So yeah, the name entering system is awful.
Toddy boy. Alright, we can go with that.
Yeah. Shout outs to Toddy boy. Yeah, and it's like, so the cool thing about having those speech checks, those little speech checks, was that it made the game feel more like an RPG, and it was crucial to it was in all the previous Fallout games. So taking it out is just the very first thing where we see that Bethesda is making this less like a Fallout game. Yeah. Are you gonna get? You're about to get flashbacks to Heavy Rain. We have to play.
Oh God, no.
To play with the bait. Here, you play with, because you did it in Heavy Rain. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't torture me like this.
Also, guess what? His name is Sean. Sean. Alright, so.
Sean.
So we have this like touching moment between these two characters, but the issue is, and we're about to get to this. We're now up to part 2. We're talking about the voice protagonist and the focus on a fixed character story in this role-playing Fallout game.
I see what's going on.
What's the best part about an RPG is you fill in all the blanks of who the character was. That's always how Fallout was done. So yeah, we start off the fact that the character actually speaks. I have it turned off by default to do this, but when you actually engage in dialogue with characters, I'll try to see if I can take it off. Display, there it is. Dialogue camera. See, I had it turned off because I fucking hate this. This is what it does to this game, and it was never like this before. They made it more cinematic. Oh God,
this is just like Mass Effect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you noticed. Yeah. It's
this
like
is no.
So look, here's the sarcastic button, and everybody fucking hates the sarcastic button. You pick sarcastic, and it's like, oh, it makes a joke. That's, you're quirky, you're funny, but you have no idea what that means. Sarcastic what? In a good way? Sarcastic in a bad way? There's no telling. Like,
are we gonna get a good joke? Are we gonna laugh? The baby stops crying for some reason.
Yeah.
I thought the whole reason was to shut the baby up.
When they designed the game, as a result, they created this huge plot around the character. Around the main character, around his life, his annoying-ass wife, and his kid. Or depending on if you chose the female, her life, her annoying-ass husband, and the kid. So, like, Fallout has dabbled a little bit in player story, but it's always been kept super gray. The main point of the game really is you're a character that emerges from the vault, and then the interesting part is what you encounter in the wastelands. So,
all right. So now the vault.
Here's an interesting thing, and I just found this last night because I had to reinstall this game for this playthrough. I found out that actually you could literally stand here all day. Nothing's gonna happen.
Really?
But then I realized, so that would make sense. Like if they made it that, if you wait too long, the bomb goes off and it's game over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? But guess what? That doesn't happen. You stand, it doesn't matter. They want you to go this way. See, he's waving me over. But if you even dare start to walk in this direction, it's game over. And then you start all over.
Wow.
Yeah, they did that on you.
Like they couldn't even put a timer for you when you're standing.
No, I'm saying the timer would make sense. The boundary is just stupid. It's just stupid. Like, you can't explore, but you can stand and stare at the tree for 20 hours. You know what I mean?
That's pretty funny.
We're about halfway done or so.
Let's get through a little bit more. Leave the wife and the kid behind. Who cares? I mean, they're gonna die anyway, aren't they? Pretty sure.
The wife, yes. Spoiler alert. The kid, not necessarily. Yeah, but focusing this like story based around the character and making it such a big part of the game is the fact that it's like Bethesda doesn't understand that this doesn't really work for Fallout. That's why Fallout 3 was kind of dumb. That's why everyone hated the ending. That's why people actually had to mod the intro out of the game so that you could start the game and you just start like in the wasteland because they hated it that much. It was stupid.
No, indeed, I would understand.
It took way too long, and you're literally just waiting and waiting and waiting. New Vegas, once again, Obsidian knew what they were doing. They just streamlined it. They went right for it. It's like, look, you fill out some basic information. You got shot in the head. You fill out some basic information, and off you go.
That's right.
Yeah.
And there we go. This story's just bland, man. Mm-hmm. It just feels super generic. Doesn't feel...
Yeah.
Like, you can predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, you can pretty much predict what's going to happen. It's super generic.
And I'll tell you, it's full of plot holes, too.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it looks like they made it, but I know something's going to happen because especially with the whole dialogue shit, like, oh, I love you. Oh, we love you, too. That pretty much tells me already, they're going to die.
It's like, it feels like you're watching a bad movie.
Exactly.
And they shouldn't have done that with the Fallout game because, like, this guy over here, he's not the most important part. Or it's not it takes away from the experience to fill in all the information about his life. If he was kept gray, the fun part of it, just like any RPG, is that you fill in those blanks. It's much more exciting that way. Any like game of D&D is not fun if like the guy pulls you over and says, all right, so here's everything about your character. It's like, no, I fill that stuff in, you know?
That's right.
That's the fun part. And it could be anything you want if it's kept vague. But here, he's a Marine, he was in the military, his wife is an attorney, they have a kid, and then what we're going to see later happens, all of that stuff. Oh, no, I can't. 3, where's the wife? Oh, there she... Whoa, she like popped in. Yeah.
Another issue with this game.
Yeah. And we were saying before that the conversation scenes are really annoying in this game. Thankfully, it can be changed as I had it in the beginning, but the Mass Effect camera just does not work. It makes it so cinematic, and it adds to that problem of the story in this game.
Look, Mass Effect is good on its own, but don't try to mix it with another game that's practically the opposite of it. Yep. Maybe not the opposite, but they're just two different games. You can't try to mix them together like that.
Yeah, man.
Some things mix, some things don't.
When you keep taking elements from other games, and they do that here so often, you just create an abomination, man. It's not Fallout to me anymore, and it just that's the worst part. Cause I'll have you know, I wanted this game more than anyone else in the world, man. I was so hyped when they announced this game, and then I played it and I liked it, but after a while, like I start to think about it, I'm like, more and more, this game, I'm realizing it's not what I want. It's not like a good Fallout game. All right, so they get us into these chambers.
Cryo chambers, I'm guessing.
Yeah, cryo chambers. We're gonna take a little pause from the usual stuff. I'll get Zero's raw reaction to what happens here.
They're gonna die. Okay. Oh, they're gonna kill him, aren't they?
Sean!
Oh my god.
I don't remember what was explained by this, but they wanted him and his son for some reason. I guess.
But they give no explanation?
They probably had like a gene or something, you know? So you're gonna go activate your wife. So it's like, again, I understand that this is like such an important scene, and like the voice acting is really... I'm not knocking on the voice actor. I don't hate the voice actor, but it's just like... It's just, you know... It just doesn't fit for Fallout, you know what I mean?
Damn, man.
Yeah. It really doesn't. And it's like... You're I know you're trying really hard, Bethesda, but it's just... There's no point. It doesn't work for this. I have OCD, so I'm going to close this one too. Yeah, so we're about to get into part 3. I think we saw the leader of one, but the factions, right. So the factions in this game, another personal problem for me is that I did not like any of the factions. They seemed very boring. They lacked pizzazz. And yeah, it's just like, that was never a problem for a Fallout game before, you know what I mean? So... Also gonna pass the controller off to Hans.
Alright, let's see what we gotta do here. Yep. Alright, where do I go?
So, yeah, they've made Fallout games so simple. You just gotta follow the checkpoint.
Oh, so that green thing.
Yeah, basically.
Alright, so basically exploration is gone.
Your brain. Yeah, pretty much. In an open world exploration RPG. Just follow the marker and you win, guys. That's all you need to do. Thanks for the $59.99.
That sucks. That reminds me of when Final Fantasy 13 came out, and they did the same thing. They made it super linear. You couldn't explore. Oh my god, that was a big ass roach. I'm a man who lost his son, and I'm gonna murder everything in my sight. Get over here, you shit. Sean!
Jason! I saw this great meme at one point where it was like Fallout 3. It's like Fallout 3 is like, oh, you have to go find your dad. He got separated from your dad. Fallout New Vegas, you got shot and you want to get revenge on the guy that shot you. Fallout 4, and it's just a picture from Heavy Rain. Shot!
Yo, pretty much.
What's worse is then that, yeah, the story later does revolve, coming back to the factions. The story later revolves around those factions, And that sucks because they're not interesting. The story itself is the main quest is not interesting. So all you're really left with is maybe the gameplay is okay, if it's okay. Spoiler, it's not. And later on, maybe a couple side quests are interesting to you. Would you buy a game for side quests?
No, not at all. I want the story to be good, but I don't want it to be too linear with a point where I can't even explore or do half of the shit that I used to do in the other games.
So basically, the game makes you align with one of several factions. The Brotherhood, which returns from the previous Fallout games, the Institute, the Minutemen, and the Railroad. And the Railroad.
And the Railroad.
I honestly tried to care for any of these groups, but I could not be fucking bothered. I tried to care about it. The Institute was not that interesting.
Oh my god!
Yeah, they fly. The Brotherhood of Steel. Brotherhood of Steel was...
Die, you evil demons from hell!
Another thing that bothers me is that it feels like a giant rehash of Fallout 3 and New Vegas, and also some of the older ones. It's just that you have even blander options. Essentially, you just make your way into the waste and you join a big fight that's already happening in progress. It's like we did this in Fallout 3. We did this in New Vegas. It's like, oh, there are these giant groups and you have to either join them or leave them. And I mean, they could have still done it this way. I'm thinking about it. I don't know. It is an okay formula, but it's been tried. Like, it's been overdone. They didn't do anything new. They didn't introduce it in an interesting way. And then, like I mentioned already, the actual choices you have suck. And then, in a messed up way, this is the most Fallout thing about this game, if you ask me, is that they just kept this like same formula that they had from the previous game. So the most Fallout thing they have was that they were lazy and they didn't choose to do anything new. It is something that could work for Fallout, but it has no impact because they chose to introduce it in the exact same way as previous games. Like, you go out into the waste, you join a group that's already engaged in a giant ass war anyway, and then I don't know, you have personal hardship to overcome, you start exploring the wasteland, you join a faction, and then you change the wasteland through your action, for better or for worse. The only faction that I kind of liked were the Minutemen, because it seemed like they had a really cool tie to, because the game is set in Boston, so they had it was a nice tie-in to like the historical group of the same name.
Okay.
But like anyone else that played Fallout 4, I could not get far enough away from them because their leader is basically stalking you the whole game.
What the fuck is that about?
He won't leave you alone. Because he's trying to bother you with this hated mode of the game. But we'll get more into that later, in a later episode. But still, it's like I wanted to like them, but you hate the guy, and it's like, fuck, I don't like the Minutemen now. Yeah, and it's just like, man, it really feels like it was too much of me to expect them to get it right when they made all of these other mistakes, Like, they can't get a faction right. They mess up the character. Story is bland, full of plot holes. You're still locked down to an intro. They changed how conversation, how speech work. The protagonist is voiced. Love him or hate him, it just puts too much emphasis, whereas in previous games like Fallout shined because the character had less emphasis. And it's not right. Like, story and the related elements of story, I feel like it's all wrong in this game.
I see.
But yeah, that is it for this first episode. Thankfully, we got through the intro, covered a whole bunch of points, stuff that was wrong with the story, and
and the game is just starting now, so I can already see why a lot of people get frustrated.
Yeah, we spent way too long doing this.
An entire episode just getting through an intro, mind you guys. Yeah. That's what this episode was.
Which, again, if for another game, okay, but for Fallout, it's like you just want to start and just be in the wasteland already.
This is the fourth Fallout game. They shouldn't be making you go through so much extra shit.
Well, the real issue is just, I think Bethesda is not good at making these games. They don't respect the source material enough, and the issue is they took Fallout, which had a good formula that works, and they just changed the crap out of it. They implemented a lot of change. I'm sure they did it because they thought, oh, this would make the game more popular. A lot of people would like it. These are popular elements from other games. And to me, it ruined the experience. We're gonna leave it off here. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If any of these opinions bothered you, feel free to let us know in the comments. We're looking forward to it.
That's right.
And we'll see you in the next episode of Everything Wrong with Fallout, our weird playthrough rant mishmash series.
New series thingy, yes.
Bye, everyone.
Until next time, guys.